Well, good afternoon. How are you all today? Welcome to Integrated Preparedness. There's a literary phrase attributed to William Faulkner, though I think somebody else used it first and he kind of picked up on it. I don't remember the first guy's name, and it says, kill your darlings. And what it means is, no matter how much you have fallen in love with something you've written, how much time you've spent on it, no matter what, how much it means to you personally, individually, if it doesn't add to the progress of the story or the reader's understanding, take it out, kill it, get rid of it. And he has even said, take it if you want to write it for yourself, if you just love it, you want to write it for yourself, that's fine. Set it aside, take it out of your book, and forget about it. Because that is just something that you have allowed yourself to build up into something that really doesn't apply to the plot of the storyline, and it won't mean a lot to the reader. I've experienced that several times. Don't worry, this isn't about writing. This is about, because I see this a lot of times, and I would apply this to a lot of preppers. As a matter of fact, I've found myself doing that a couple of times. That I will be writing more in the first books than my latter books. That I'll get all involved in something, explanation of something, really deep, really wide, something that particularly interests me. And then when I go back and read it, I go, well, okay, that was, I enjoyed writing it. But the average reader is not going to care. And here's the important part, how it would apply to preparedness. It's not going to add to the story. Now, how I see this in preparedness, I see this a lot. And it's it's when people become so enamored with a particular subject or a particular part of overall preparedness that they make it kind of their darling. It is the thing that they concentrate on. It's the thing that they won't let go of. They will believe in it no matter what, whether or not they have any reason to believe in it. It is something that they have, it makes them feel good. And they have chosen to hold on to this darling no matter what. Among those things, and I didn't sit down and try to create a list. For instance, and I've mentioned this before, the golden hordes. Okay, the golden hordes spilling out of the cities into the countryside, and so many people have just accepted that because it was an idea that came forth back in the 60s and early 70s, and it was really brought forward by people who didn't have any experience in it, but that they thought this is what might happen. And as people heard about that, they started, oh wow, that's really going to there have been some books that have addressed that. I have said that I don't believe that would happen, and I've talked about it differently in my books. But many people won't let go of that. They are just sure that the golden hordes will spill out into the countryside, ravaging, killing all the deer and everything like that. And they'll point back to, they'll say, well, all the deer were killed off during the Depression, which is not true. It's one of those things that people continue to repeat, and so everybody believes. By the time the Depression came, the North American deer herds were almost completely wiped out because of certain diseases. Okay, and that will shock most people. I'll probably get somebody on here and say, no, it didn't, because I heard somebody say something or other. That's one of the things. Another thing would be, well, we're going to have a collapse of the government, and so they prepare for that. The collapse of the financial system, so they buy gold, thinking that if everything falls apart, gold is going to, they'll say it's God's money and all that. Well, if everything falls apart, the last thing that anybody wants is your gold, to be real honest, because if everything collapses, what's really going to be important is food and defense and things like that. Another is guns. I've known so many people who, and it's kind of, I think it's either what appeals to the strengths of a particular person or the particular fears of a particular person. Because fears, it's a psychological concept. Fears are attractive. People are attracted to things they fear, believe it or not. I know it goes way down deep there, but there's truth in that. And so I know so many people who, when they get involved or got involved in preparedness, it was all about guns. All about guns. And it was very difficult for me, and in many cases I still haven't. A lot of people, I still haven't gotten outside of that. It's all about the guns and optics and this and that and everything. They haven't thought it through. They've latched onto something that is fascinating to them, but that they don't realize doesn't add to the progress of their preparedness story or their preparedness plan. And you may have something else, in that. I'll tell you, in my second book, The Revival, I started completely over after about the third. I had 3 chapters done, and 3 chapters is a lot of writing. And I kept on this. I was writing something. I don't even remember what it was now, I'll be honest, but I know it was very interesting to me. And I just didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel right about it. And it was my second book. And I thought, well, I've had the reversion was such a success. I didn't want to follow it up with a bomb, something that just fell flat on its face. I said, you got to keep up the tempo of the story and everything like this. And what I had ended up with was getting off into all sorts of extraneous things that I didn't think most people would either understand or care about. And so I ended up trashing an entire three chapters of that. And, I don't even remember what it was about, but I do know that when I went back and I said, okay, you've gotten away from the proper approach of the story progression. And I know I don't believe it would have worked out well. And it worked out very well with The Revival and then, all the rest of my books. So my advice would be this. Is there something that you, because you're comfortable with it and not comfortable with other things, or is there something maybe that you have believed because you've heard a lot about it, but you haven't really looked into it yourself? And so you couldn't say, if somebody asked you, well, why do you think that? You couldn't say, well, because I have experience in it, or I've really looked into it, or I've done research on it and everything like this. You'd have to say, well, this guy, on YouTube said it, and I've watched a lot of YouTube, and this guy said it because that guy said it, because it becomes a truism. It doesn't mean that it's right. And the danger is, it's if you do it and you have a book fail, well, okay, you had a book fail. It cost you money. But if you are going down the wrong road in your preparedness, and you're allowing 1 or 2 favorite things to take all of your attention and your energy and your time and your money, right? Well, you're not going to be prepared for other things that will happen. And so this is where kill your preparedness, darlings, comes in. Don't let this great attraction for 1 or 2 things keep you from seeing the broader picture. Pardon me. I'm still getting over this, sorry. Because it's the broad picture. It's the total broad spectrum preparedness that is going to get you through whatever comes your way and make your life better now. What we're going through now, things are complicated. And, is it going to be is there going to be some kind of a soft revolution, a civil war, a collapse of the dollar, a collapse of the financial system, a collapse of the government? Are we going to World War III? Are we going to, whatever it might be, a new world government? There are so many people who jump on that thing. Oh, it's all about the one world government, the new world government, Klaus Schwab, and all this kind of stuff. And when they concentrate, and I can tell, when they concentrate too much on that stuff, they are leaving big holes in other areas that might be more probable. So my advice is just take a look at yourself. Do a little audit of yourself. Are you preparing for things? Are you looking at things properly? Or have you fallen into the trap that so many do, and that's becoming particularly enamored with or a fan of a certain thing, guns, homesteading, whatever, that you can't really. I know somebody will say, well, homesteading covers it all. Well, no, it doesn't really. Okay, it doesn't really. But take a look. Make sure you haven't fallen into that so that you can, see the whole field and prepare yourself for pretty much whatever comes down the road, because you stand alone in this, right? You stand alone, meaning that no matter what happens, it's you that has to be ready for it. Okay? All right. Y'all have a good day. I didn't have a cup of coffee with me, which is probably why I'm coughing. But, hey, if you're with me over on the Patreon page, I just had some of the best coffee I've ever had. I talk about it over there. It's called Attack Coffee. Put out by a couple of Air Force, former Air Force guys. And it is some of the best coffee. I just ordered some, and I'll come back and give you a review on it after I've, had a bag. And you all have a good day. I will see you later. Remember that we prepare well today in order to live well tomorrow. And if you've got some preparedness darlings hanging around that are keeping you from seeing a bigger picture, kill them. You'll be glad you did. You'll be more prepared if you do. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.